Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. Also check me out on Twitch as Floyd Mason.
Hello. Welcome back, Spooks fans. We are back with another Goosebumps review. This time we are reviewing book number 24, Phantom of the Auditorium. Yeah, we get it right there. Yeah. So, the picture of the Phantom on the front here. Pretty standard. Not too bad. Book's a little rough shape, kind of the can't really see it, but the Goosebumps is a bit marked up, but not too bad. Obviously a take on Phantom of the Opera. The Phantom of the Auditorium. This is one again that I remember quite well from my childhood. So this one wasn't quite as much new read. I honestly think this one and the next one were two that I've read the most, so they must be ones I owned. Either that or somebody I knew owned them. I feel like I read them a lot. But then again, I'm pretty sure we also had Camp Jelly Jam. I do not remember that one at all, but I know we owned it. So who knows? So basically, this book starts with, this one kind of weirdly starts with the foreshadow of the Phantom. So the first chapter is kind of what actually happens later in the book. Kind of like, well, it alludes to it, to a scene, which I don't think he's done before that I can think of. Like usually he would have done something like this, but then it's like a dream sequence, which he does have one, but he does it better than usual. So I'll take it later. But it starts, and the main character in this book is Brooke and her friend Zeke. So the book just kind of starts off showing their friendship. Like they like to play pranks on each other and kind of like just goof around and very like funny kids. They're kind of goofing around at school, and then they remember, oh yeah, the posting for the upcoming play is posted. They both had auditioned for major roles, so they want to go see if they got it. They run check the board, and there's a note pinned to it that says, Brooke, please come to the principal's office. You've been suspended. Little chapter cliffhanger, and it turns out Zeke put it there again, just kind of showing that they're very pranky. That they'll do pranks on each other, and he had just gone there earlier and pinned it there for when they actually went. So they look through the listing, and they both got major roles. So Zeke actually got the role of the Phantom, and Brooke got, I think it's Esmeralda is the name of her character, who's kind of like the daughter of the person who owns the theater and who the Phantom is in love with. So they both got major roles, and they're super excited. Another character then comes up, Tina. Throughout the book, there's kind of like a lot of jealousy between the two, and Tina got her understudy, and she also kind of becomes in charge of all the backdrops and the scenery and all of that. So she kind of is jealous right away, and they make it very clear that Tina is kind of a rival. Throughout the book, I'm not going to get into it too much because it's just little sub things that kind of come up now and then. But Tina keeps like telling her not to get sick and being like, "Oh, is that a sniffle? Like, don't catch a cold." Kind of trying to get in her head about things. So Tina also kind of brings up at rehearsal that they're doing this play of the Phantom, and she brings up that she's heard the story from her grandfather, and that this is a big thing of this at the school. So the teacher, Miss Walker, who is leading the play, she tells all the kids the story. So apparently 72 years ago, this play was found by a kid from the school, and they decided to put on the play. And it's about the Phantom. But right before they were going to perform it, the kid who was playing the Phantom disappeared. So they couldn't find him for the play, and then they all heard like a loud scream, and they still just couldn't find him. So they decided they never did it, and there was just kind of like, this kind of sense that performing the play was bad luck, and that people would get injured and all this stuff. So they hadn't done it, but of course they're going to do it now, because why not? So it's just kind of been like an urban myth at this school. So suddenly, at this point, all of a sudden the Phantom appears and jumps out, and it's just Zeke. So he's just playing a prank on everyone. He kind of snuck off while Miss Walker was telling them the story, got into his Phantom costume, and jumped out and kind of scared everyone. So Tina then goes on explaining how her grandfather said the place cursed, and that the Phantom won't let anyone perform it. At this point, the teacher is walking across the stage, and all of a sudden, she just screams and disappears. And all the kids are kind of away, so they don't see what happened. And they run up, and there's actually a trapdoor in the stage, and she fell through it. So she's kind of like a floor below. Like it says that she's not hurt, and like later the trapdoor goes down really far. So it's just like, yeah, she's lucky that she didn't die in that moment. Because apparently, you know, it goes massively down. And even where she is, like we'll get to it later, but Brooke and Zeke have to climb out, like hoist each other up to get out of it. So it's not even as short as thing as like, mid school age kids can jump up and like kind of grab it. Like they had to hoist themselves out. So she's pretty lucky that she didn't die there, I would say, or get seriously injured. Then she talks about how it was installed for the original play. Again, of all the things in the book, I actually have a lot of trouble with this trapdoor because it's just like, did no kids ever find it? It seems pretty easy for it to go down. Like, how did no kid ever like accidentally kick it and fall in? Like I feel like there was a trapdoor at my high school. Somebody would have found it. Somebody would have messed with it, unless it was like locked and she had like unlocked it. Finally, there was like a secret way to unlock it or something. But the trapdoor bothers me. I just don't understand how no kids knew about it. So yeah, they pull her up, and everyone leaves, but Zeke convinces Brooke to stay behind because he wants to mess with the trapdoor. So they get on it. At this point, too, they have a little thing where it explains that Brooke has a sneezing thing. So she got some dust, and like usually she'll sneeze like 10 times in a row, and like Zeke loves to count them off because she can't control it. So she has a little sneezing fit here, and I think she goes like 6 or 7, something like that. And then they get on it, they take it down, and it goes way past where the teacher had stopped, and it goes way down below into like some kind of underground tunnel. So they have no idea where they are. It's super dark, and they're both trying to like kind of act like tough and whatnot, but they're both quite scared, and they can't figure out how to get it up, which again I don't understand why. Like, because then it's just a little switch. So they start pushing each other, and I think Zeke pushes Brooke, and she bumps into it, and then it goes. So like, oh, it's going, and they jump on. But it only goes back up to, again, kind of where the teacher fell to. So Brooke has to lift Zeke up, and then he kind of just disappears. So she's kind of calling for him, and he's not answering. And then finally someone reaches over, pulls her up, and she's like, about time, Zeke. And it is someone who introduced himself as Emil, says he's the night janitor. So he reams them out, talking about how dangerous it is. They shouldn't be messing around at the school after hours. Why are they still there? And they're kind of like, oh, we were at the rehearsal and we're in the play and we want to mess around with it. And he is like, do not mess around with this. Like, it's super dangerous. Like, you get out of here, kind of thing. So they get a little lucky on that one. So next day at school, when she gets there, someone's sitting in her seat. Stein kind of does this dramatic, like, this is my seat, and the next thing he's like, or is it? Maybe the teacher told me. Maybe I misheard the teacher. And so it's a new kid. He introduced himself as Brian. So she gets talking to him. Seems like a nice guy. And she tells him about the play. He's like, oh, I'd really like to be part of it. So she's like, hey, you should come with us after, like, maybe you can audition or do something with the play. I also put down, like, there is a scene before this where she's walking her brother Jeremy to school, and I think there's like 3 scenes where she's walking him, and all 3 of them are just pointless. They're only like 2 or 3 paragraphs each, and it's just like she has to drop her brother off at school, so she tells him about the play. Very, very fillery. Not going to go into the other 2 times. I don't know why they're there. It had nothing. But yeah, so she meets Brian, tells him to be in the play. So after class, they're going to the locker first, and at her locker, Brooke has a sign that says basically to stay away, uh, stay away from Home Sweet Home. So basically, she's like, "Hey, who did this?" Like, she's fully convinced it's Zach, or Zeke. Sorry. She thinks it's Zeke again. It's kind of played up the prank nature of it, and that she thinks it's him. She thinks that he's trying to play off the Phantom thing, kind of spook her a bit. He denies it, so, what can they do now? After school, they go to the play. Brian asks, Miss Walker's like, hey, like, it's too late to do something, but, you can help with the scenery. And he's super excited just to be involved, so he's like, yeah, great. Goes and kind of works with Tina. At this point, too, she kind of thinks about, like, Tina as well, and she's like, hey, maybe Tina's trying to scare me out of the play. So right now, she's kind of thinking it's between, like, Tina or Zeke, of one of them, Zeke trying to just be funny, or Tina actually trying to kind of spook her out of being in the play. Also, when the lights go out, the Phantom appears on the catwalk. He jumps down the stage, goes in the trapdoor, and or in the kind of the into the trapdoor elevator, and disappears. So he's gone. It comes back up empty, and everyone just assumes it's Zeke. So because he's not there, like, the teacher starts yelling, like, where's Zeke? And he's not around. So again, they're like, oh, it must be him. And she goes and talks to him. And he's like, oh, like, I had a dentist appointment. Like, I told Miss Walker about that. Like, she'll remember. I definitely told her. But, she's kind of like, oh, like, did he have time to do that and then go to his dentist appointment? Because it was pretty early in the night. So, and he just kind of smiles at her. So again, it's that thing of like, is he playing pranks? Is he just trying to get into the character of the story and mess with her? So they really don't know. Okay, so yeah. So then next day they're practicing later. And Dee comes out the track door, and, they think it's him. The Phantom. He's kind of acting weird, but all of a sudden she looks, and Zeke is actually in the wings. So this has to be the Phantom. So he again warns Brooke to stay away from his home sweet home, stop doing the play, and then runs off. And again, this time, like, Zeke is right there. At this time too, like, there was a little bit with Tina, kind of distracts her and is kind of trying to throw off her game. But kind of, again, it's kind of pointing out, like, Tina's right there, Zeke's right there. Here's this Phantom. But everyone again is convinced that Zeke just got another one of his buddies to dress up the Phantom, and so he could be there, and he can kind of be like, oh, it's not me. So at this point, everyone basically thinks it's Zeke, just messing around with everybody, just doing all the stuff. Brooke's not so sure, but she does think that Zeke possibly is doing it. At this point, too, they, as they're going to leave, Zeke's like, hey, I forgot my math book. I'm hoping somebody turned in the office. Let's go there. And they're talking to one of the secretaries there, and they bring up Emil, and they learn that Emil is not a night janitor. The secretary has no idea who they're talking about. That person does not exist. So Zeke now becomes convinced that he is the Phantom, and that he's been messing with them, and they need to figure it out. So he talks Brooke into coming back. Or did they do it yet? Oh yeah. So next is the dream sequence. So it's just a very quick, like, 2 or 3 paragraph where Brooke's on stage and she can't remember lines, and then it's just a dream. Pointless to the story. Thought I added in because it's just Stein cannot help himself with the dream sequences, but at least this one's not a whole chapter. It's just a couple paragraphs. And then yeah, it kind of goes on again about Tina really wanting the role, and kind of just bring up again that Tina really wants this, and would she do anything for it? Maybe. So they decide that because Emil was not real, they're sure that maybe he's messing with them, or somebody else is doing the Phantom stuff. Again, Brooke doesn't fully believe Zeke yet, but she gets talked into going there at night. They sneak in to the auditorium. And when they're there, they hear coming. Wait, hold on. Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. So they tell Miss about Emil first, and she doesn't believe them. And they come back, but they actually bring Brian with them. So I don't really know why they bring Brian. I guess he's better friends with them now, but maybe they want somebody else, kind of like more believable, that doesn't know them as much. But anyways, they get there, they sneak in, and they hear somebody on the stage. So they go up, they're going to catch the Phantom, and somebody has written all of the scenery in like red paint. That basically says like "Stay away from my home, sweet home" again. So like, oh my god, like who did this? And just then Miss Walker comes in. She had forgotten something and she can't believe it. She's pretty sure she's caught them in the act. The paint is still wet. They're kind of explaining, hey, like, you know, Emil, like, there's this guy, like, we heard something on stage, and like, we're just trying to catch him because he's been making us look bad. And she kind of starts to believe them, and she's like, okay, like, maybe this is true, like, maybe there's something else going on. I think, again, she doesn't really believe Zeke, but Brian really doesn't have a reason to lie, and Brooke's pretty believable. But as they're leaving the auditorium, they see kind of a little trail of red paint, and they follow it, and it leads back to Zeke's locker, and there's a little can of red paint in it. So Miss Walker's like, I have no choice now. I have to believe that you did this. She asks the other two if they're involved, and they both adamantly deny. So she removes Zeke from the play, but the other two get to remain. And again, at this point, Brooke's kind of like, I don't know if Zeke could have done this. And it's like, you're both with him. Like, there's no way he broke in, did it, put the paint back, then went out and met you. Like, it's one of those things that's just like, no, like, not a chance that he did this one. So somebody's definitely framing him. I mean, spoiling it a bit, but it was pretty clear. I can't imagine, even as a kid, you'd be fooled here at all about this. So Zeke is kicked out of the play, and there's another guy who's brought in. The other guy she thinks he's kind of boring, like he's very serious. He's good. He's good at the role because he's very serious about it. But she kind of miss Zeke. But Brian points out that since Zeke's gone, there's been no more phantom sightings. Nothing else has gone wrong. No more pranks. And so, maybe it was him, and he was just trying to get uh, get detention. But then all of a sudden there's another prank right after that where somebody glued all her pages together. So she cancels the play, and then it goes next chapter, and Zeke's just like, oh, that was a close one. And Brooke's just like, yeah, she canceled it, but then calmed down. And so we're still going. So very, very lame cliffhanger on all of this, but in a little chapter end one. So they're over at Zeke's, they're hanging out, and they're talking to him about the rehearsal. They're kind of throwing a ball back and forth to his dog, and like the dog starts barking at Brian, and they're kind of like, oh, like doesn't like you, it doesn't know you yet, kind of deal. And when they're talking about this, Zeke wants to go back to school. He wants to prove his innocence. He wants to prove that there is something going on. So he talks the two of them to go with him again. So they go back, they go the same way, and this time they go right for the trapdoor and they go to the basements. This time they bring lights and everything so they can see. And they go down to the lowest level. They're wandering around, and they actually end up finding a room, and it looks like someone's living in there. Like, it's clear that somebody's living in this room. And right here, Brooke has a sneezing fit. So they explained it earlier just so that at this point she would have the sneezing fit, and she has a bunch, and it's very loud, and somebody comes and shuts the door. So whoever's down there heard her and tries to lock him in the room. Zeke comes up and he's like, oh, the door's locked, and he's like pushing against it. And then in maybe one of the dumbest parts in a Goosebumps book to date, Brooke's like, oh, doesn't the door pull out? And he pulls it and it opens. And it's just like, what a lame, like, again, like, your kid panicked in this weird basement, you know what's going on, but like, it was just so stupid when you read it. It's like, he's like, oh my god, it's locked, and then Brooke's like, did you pull it? And then he pulls it open. Anyways, Emil is standing there in the hallway, and he admits that he was living down there. So I think there's a whole story. I think his dad kicked him out, and he kind of knew about this place, so he'd been living under here because no one ever came down. And he was the one writing all the messages to stay awake. He was trying to scare them out. So it looks like he was the Phantom. He was doing all the stay away from my home stuff. And especially because the one Phantom said it to her, at that time when we didn't know if it was Tina or Zeke. It seems pretty clear that it was him. So they just kind of run by him. They're like, oh, how are we going to get by him? And they just run by him. He seems pretty out of it. And as they're going, they're running for they kind of hear the trapdoor coming down, and it's Zeke's dad. So Zeke's dad had shown up. He noticed that Zeke had snuck out. He assumed because he had done, Miss Walker had obviously told him that he'd come here before, and he assumed that he was doing it again, and he must be there. And this is the point too where Zeke's dad hears Emil. He doesn't see him, but he hears him yelling, and that's a bit. He's like, "Who else is down here?" I'm like, "Oh, this old crazy man living down here." So they go get the cops. Cops come down. Emil's gone. He runs off. But they confirm that someone's living down there, and therefore it is now believed that, hey, Zeke wasn't doing this. Like the three of them tell them everyone what happened, and the dad can confirm that he heard the guy down there, and he's the Phantom. So everything kind of clears up. Zeke gets his roll back, and everything's good. So we get to the play, and they're doing the play, and Brooke's out there doing her role, and the Phantom comes on the stage, and it isn't Zeke. She can clearly tell it's not him. So he kind of does this big kind of story, just kind of alluding to the fact how long he's waited and how he wants this. And so this is, it doesn't feel like a meal. It feels like somebody passionate about it. And she kind of pushes him a little way, and he falls into the trapdoor and just like screaming all the way down. The audience thinks it's real. Brooke must be like, "Oh my god, I just killed somebody." But everyone else is just like, "Oh wow, what an amazing show," and all this stuff, and wow, and all that. And it ends with so after the play, I think she goes back to her locker, and there's a yearbook outside of it, and it's actually from the 72 years ago. And she looks into it and sees the original cast from the play, and the Phantom was played by Brian. So it turns out that Brian was the original Phantom. Yeah, so that is story, the Phantom of the Auditorium. So I got a little distracted there. Again, I wrote all my notes down. It's been a long 2 weeks, so my brain's a little slow. I need to maybe type these up so I can read them a bit better. I got lost in my own notes there for a bit. But anyways, yeah, things that are good about the story. I mean, it's a pretty fun retelling of kind of a classic story. I think Stein does a really good job in this one of kind of leaving it like, hey, it could be Tina trying to like scare off. It could be Zeke just kind of being funny. Like, you meet Emil and you're like, hey, he's kind of weird. And then when you find out that he's not really a janitor, it's like, oh, like maybe he's doing something. So like, I feel like he set up a lot of the books. It's sometimes very obvious who it is, or it's very out of left field what's going on. So this book, I feel like, you're kind of leaning towards Zeke, but it feels too obvious. So you're like, oh, maybe it's the other one. Maybe, maybe this, maybe that. I think the reasoning for why he's there and why he's doing it is quite good. That he just wants to be left alone and he lives down there. Zeke is kind of, it's believable that he would do it. And, if like the sly smile after the dentist and all of this, and like him initially doing it, the first one, everyone knows it's him. Like it seems like his kind of humor. So it just kind of keeps you guessing throughout of which one it could be, right? Like Tina's definitely a stretch. And I think it is kind of obvious that it's I mean, like he's my guess, as a kid. Like I was like, oh, it's probably him. But what I really like about this book, because like Stein has a tendency to write kind of like little fake out lost chapters where some, you think everything's fine and it's not fine. Having the reveal that Brian was a ghost, I think is so good. I don't think as a kid I saw it coming. Like I did wonder if, like, because he is that other fourth character, I'd be like, oh, is he being nice, but does he want to get Zeke in trouble so that he can get the role? And especially the scene where you see Zeke and Tina right before you see the Phantom. I think it's kind of like, oh, well, like maybe it's Brian. Like he's the only one that you're not seeing right now, other than Emil. So it's kind of like, oh, like maybe it's him. So I think it's a good job of kind of the four characters and then having a good ending. And again, I think it's implied. They never really like say it. And like, it's the thing of like, I don't know how they never found him, but I think it's implied that Brian fell to his death, through the trapdoor, because that's exactly what happens to him at the end of this play as well. I don't know how nobody saw him or looked for him. But also in this one, they never really explain like where Zeke is or like, how that's explained away. So I like it. I like it that it's kind of like a real ending, not just like this little fake out, like ooh extra thing like popped on to the end. And a good little twist that I don't think as a kid you really see coming. Yeah, I think you've kind of moved on past the end of the story. Um, so things to not like about this book. Honestly, there's not many. I just think like I think there's a lot of believable parts of it. So the only real downside is again that there's some parts that just kind of are pointless. There's a little bit of padding where it's like maybe you could have like because he does do little things like where Tina calls her. It's like, oh, are you feeling under the weather? So like he does a good job of kind of working Tina in there. You have Zeke in there. You have enough scares. So it is a thing of like I think it's one of the longer ones I've read recently. Like I think most of them are around 100 pages. This one was 120, and it's like you probably could have cut 10 pages, and this book would have been just fine. Her walking Jeremy to school completely pointless. Um, and there was just a couple other little things, but like even Miss Walker finding them, but kind of believing them, and then seeing the paint, like that was a very believable, I think, reaction from a teacher who wants to believe her kids, kind of trusting them, and then but then being disappointed, like having no choice. Um, the only two things I really don't love is that the trap door that nobody's ever found it, that it sometimes goes down, sometimes goes all the way down. It doesn't make any sense to me. The mechanics of it just seems to do what it wants. And the red paint. The red paint in the locker makes no sense. Um, like it makes sense for that Miss Walker would catch them, but it doesn't make sense that Brooke kind of is wondering if Zeke did it. Because it's at that point in it where it's like it can't be these two, and I think that's where it does a good job. Is again, it's kind of getting rid of them where it's like okay, like it can't be Zeke and Tina at this one, but it could be the other two. Okay, but the red paint, like it really can't be Brian or Zeke's. And then she does see Tina. I don't think I mentioned that, but she sees Tina outside. She's like biking by right after they leave the school, so it's like oh, Tina's in the area. Like maybe she was there and hanging out to kind of see what happened. Um, and again, Emilio's always just kind of there though. Like he's always just like he isn't free to do anything because no one's even aware of him. But yeah, so this is one of my favorite books that I remember reading as a kid. I really like this one, and I think it still holds up. So I'm giving this book an S. Think it's pretty good. As for the cover, um, it's honestly close. I went with an S for it. I do like the design of the Phantom. Um, I like the coloring, like the purple against the pink, the whole color scheme of the book, not just like the picture itself. It's close to an A, and it's one of those ones that's just like it's pretty simple. Like it's just the Phantom, but I mean, it's one of those ones like what else can you really do? And I just like the coloring of it so much. I like the style of kind of how he's dressed that I decided to go with an S. Why not? Why not? Give it a double S. It's been a bit. The last double S we had was One Day at Horrorland, which that seems fair. And then Haunted Mask before that. Camp Nightmare, which that's just a personal favorite. I could see people not liking the story of Camp Nightmare as much as I do. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Bit of a long one, trying to get back in the rhythm of these. I've started reading the next book, which is Attack of the Mutant. So hopefully can get going on that, get these out. A little better pacing. But yeah, I mean, we're on book. What was this again? Book 24. So we're getting close to halfway through. And again, most of the last 20, I'd say I won't remember a thing of. So I'm really excited to get to those ones. It's just a matter of finding the time. And then once we're done, I'd like to do a full ranking in order of the books from my least favorite to favorite, and then also the covers least favorite to favorite. And I'll be curious. I think I'm going to take them and actually just like place them and kind of go like one against one, like, okay, like, do I like this one more or this one? And then, okay, this next one, like, where does it fit in? And then kind of go back and see if there's any like A's that I'd like knocked up between an S or an S. Cause like I can see this cover when I'm looking at to other ones that maybe it sinks down below an A. There might be an A that just on that day gets above it. Who knows, right? Like there are some A's that again, I gave, just looking at my list quick, I gave Scarecrow Walks at Midnight an A, and like I think that's like just below an S. I think it's really cool. It's really creepy. So I think pitted against each other, maybe the fact that I liked this story more knocked up this cover a bit. But that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching.
Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. If you like my video, please like and subscribe, and also check me on Twitch as Floyd Mason.